Um, Hello, welcome to. You read the title. Today we're gonna be ranking Marilyn Manson's all of his albums, all 11. Yes, including 2020's new release of We Are Chaos. So get ready for that. As you can see, I've just for the part for in respect to Marilyn Manson. This is more of a Mechanical Animals era of Marilyn Manson. I didn't have any white face paint. How's that? Does that look better? So let's get into it. I look like a psycho. I got a whole thing of notes right here that I wrote for myself. I typed them up. Worst album from Marilyn Manson, in my opinion. His worst album, Eat Me, Drink Me, which I would put in at a 49%. Pretty much the only album, in my opinion, that Manson's made that's just actually bad, just in every aspect. It's Putting Holes in Happiness. There's a really cool riff in that song that's there, but I mean it's ruined by everything else. But the riff is okay. They said that Hell's Not Hot is hot garbage. That song is trash. And probably my least favorite track on this whole album is Heart-Shaped Glasses, which people actually tend to like. Oddly enough, to me, it's really just a bad British indie rock ripoff. I don't really like it. I see Marilyn Manson trying to do different things and show his different influences, but it doesn't work for me. I'd say the best song on the album maybe is You, Me, and the Devil Make Three. That song's okay. It's boring. It's a boring album. Look at this. Anyway, yeah, Eat Me, Drink Me. Out of here, 49%. Next, surprisingly, this may be shocking, but is the Golden Age of Grotesque. It comes in at 50%. So, just this tiniest bit better than Eat Me, Drink Me. This album, I don't think has aged well at all. It's noisy, it's loud, it's screaming. It seemed like Marilyn Manson was trying to keep up a shtick that he thought he had to keep up, but it wasn't but so much him as it was trying to stay relevant. Saying all that, Spade is okay. Spade is okay. Which brings me to the next album, which is Born Villain, clocking in at 53%. To me, Born Villain is 2000. I think it came out in 2012. Just kind of forgettable. Just kind of middle of the road Manson. Just some stuff happening. That song, "Murderers Are Getting Prettier Every Day," or whatever that long ass title is. That song hits hard. That song's a banger. That song goes super hard. Really like that one. And then the rest of the album, pretty forgettable. But not a lot to say about that one. It's whatever. Up next, the debut of Marilyn Manson and his little band, Portrait of an American Family. Coming in, I gave this album a 60%. It's very 90s. It's really fun. Definitely you could see them pushing the horror side of it, but overall it's more just kind of generic 90s hard rock. Definitely wearing the trends and influences on their sleeves. A really good debut. I mean, a solid debut though. Cool. It's like these people probably have potential, which of course Manson went on to do what he did. Reality just kicks in every once in a while. How I look. I look scarier than Marilyn Manson. This is scarier than Marilyn Manson. Look at me. I might catch flack for this, but next is Mechanical Animals. I think this album is a tad bit overrated. It's definitely the worst in the trilogy of albums that he's most known for. It's definitely the most inconsistent album in probably the whole catalog, because it'll have a banger and then a shit track and then a banger and a shit track. It's like an hour and 8 minutes or something. It's way too long. He plays around with a bunch of different sounds. A lot of them don't work. I would say the first half is definitely much better than the second half. The second half kind of falls apart. There's so much fat on this album. Just cut a lot of the fat out. If you cut this album down to a 35-40 minute album, it would be super solid, but I think it's a little too long, a little too clunky. Dope Show is dope. There's like a burlesque, weird, show-tuney song at the end that's not very good. I don't even remember the name of it. But coming in at a 66%, Heaven Upside Down. Heaven Upside Down was his album before last. Came out in 2017. Fun tracks on Heaven Upside Down. It's pretty consistent all the way through. The only thing about this album is you've seen most of what it has to offer, and you've seen most of it done better, but you've seen a lot of it done worse as well. I recommend Heaven Upside Down to hardcore Manson fans. If you're really, really into Manson, you're probably going to dig this album a lot. It's one of those things where it's not going to win any new fans, but it'll do service to fans already. The title track, Heaven Upside Down, probably the best track on the album. Really enjoyed it. We Know Where You Fucking Live, banger. And next up, which people are probably wondering where this album is, but it's actually right here. Low End of High, coming in at 69%. You know, this album I think is super slept on, super underrated. One of the best Manson albums. Favorite all-time Manson song is I Want to Kill You Like They Do in the Movies. That 9-minute just jams fucking song is amazing. It hypes me up. I listen to that when I run or work out all the time. I'm blasting that, or if I'm driving at night, blast that in my car. I come back to that song more and more as time goes on. What's funny is I catch myself coming back to this album more than I catch myself coming back to any of the other albums. Eventually it might climb up the ranks to maybe taking fourth or third. I've fucking love the highlights of this album. Arma Goddamn Motherfucking Geddon. That song fucking rocks. I love that song. I love the sound of this album. It has some low points, but for the most part, it has amazing high points. If it has been a little more consistent, it might be taking like my favorite, but it's just a little inconsistent. Up next, The Pale Emperor, taking fourth place at 70%. So now we're getting into the really, really solid albums. The Pale Emperor has a great aesthetic. He follows up with Low End of High with more bluesy sounds, just like how he dabbled in Low End of High with. But this time it's like a whole aesthetic of blues and fun. It has great highlights. It's the thing about The Pale Emperor is it doesn't have huge banger highlights for me. It just has really good songs consistent all the way through. So I don't really have any favorite tracks. I don't have any least favorite tracks. It's just it's really fun to put on and go all the way through. Taking bronze is We Are Chaos, which comes at 71%. We Are Chaos, I was shocked, because I will tell you something. When that first single came out, the title track, We Are Chaos, I was very concerned about this album. I hate that song. I think it's the worst song on the album. Don't like it. It sounds kind of like his version of Still Breathing by Green Day, if you ever heard that song on Revolution Radio.
I'm like a soldier coming home for the first time. I dodged a bullet and I walked across a landmine. Oh, that's holding your hand. We are sick.
it's not
Oh,
not one of my favorites of his. So I thought this album was gonna be a complete dud. I thought it was gonna go in the bottom half. But then I went through it all the way through, and holy shit, this album is awesome. This album is fucking awesome. The first two tracks I'm not a big fan of. The opening track, not very good. Second track, Real Chaos, is trash. But then it just takes off after that. You have Paint You With My Love, best song on the album in my opinion. Don't Chase the Dead, brilliant. Awesome. Broken Needle, great ending song on the album. Those are my three big highlights, but the whole thing all the way through after the first two tracks are just great new sound for Manson. But then also like as far as musically, but then singing wise, he brings back his old grit, and it's just so wonderful. I loved this album. It's my third favorite now. Honestly, it ties with number 2, which is Antichrist Superstar, of course, part of the his big trilogy. It was his third album, which comes in at 71. Great lyrics in this album, probably lyrically his best. Really scary album, super dark, very, it frightened people when it came out. When parents were terrified of this album when it came out. It's really what made him blow up was Antichrist Superstar. Yeah, I mean, you have Beautiful People on it, of course, and you have Tourniquet, both fucking awesome. These three albums, We Are Chaos, Antichrist Superstar, and the best album, I recommend anyone. They are all really, really solid, especially number 1, which of course we all saw this coming. This is the consensus, and I only could agree that Hollywood is Manson's greatest album. Finished off his trilogy that made him who he is, coming in at 79%, so a huge jump, and just an amazing album. It feels like Manson's identity is just perfectly found on this album. It's like all the stars aligned. It's Marilyn Manson in his prime, with the most to say and the most anger and just like 2 steps ahead of everyone. And the album is just goddamn consistent all the way through. There are tons of songs on this album, tons of tracks. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's like 17 or something, and they are fucking consistent all the way through. And Disposable Teens, man, what a song. Disposable Teens is fucking awesome. Crucifixion in Space, awesome. I mean, what a great, absolutely brilliant. But Hollywood definitely is the holy grail of Manson albums. That's when all of the school shootings were going on. People were blaming Manson for kids being violent and all of that. And so Hollywood was kind of Manson's response and kind of his own symbolic crucifixion at the time. So that's when he was the most relevant, and people were blaming him for a lot. And so Marilyn Manson had a lot to say at that time. Yeah, go check out Manson's new album, 2020, We Are Chaos. Great return for Manson. Great album. Go check it out. Don't check out Eat Me, Drink Me. That album is trash. Don't do that. And so there you go. There's the list. And if you disagree, then you're wrong. You're just wrong. I look like Marv in Home Alone.
I'm gonna murder that kid.